Let this shit fill up real quick, man. Let it fill up real quick. Just let it, feel me? You know how we do it, man. We're gonna go ahead and address some shit real quick. Y'all buckle your seatbelt for this ride, you hear me? Buckle your seatbelt for this ride real quick on this, what we finna break down real quick. Alright, so, for the most part, everybody was just tuned in to 1090 Jake, you feel me? Shout out to 1090, I was on there, you feel me? I want to set something straight, let y'all know I ain't beefing with 1090, we ain't got no beef or nothing like that, you feel me? I'm actually wanting him to do that video, I'm glad, you feel me? Because it gives me a way to, like, break down my situation, you feel me? Now, before I went to prison, first thing that happened, I found my dad not breathing on the floor. My dad's head was busted open. He wasn't breathing. I found him on the ground. You feel me? The next day, after my dad passed away in the hospital, I got set up by my stepmom, my stepbrother. That's who sent me to prison. They turned state on me and everything. They testified against me. I was on probation for a stab charge for stabbing my stepbrother years before that. Okay, now, when I found my dad not breathing, he was bleeding out of the head. They transported him to one hospital, and then from that hospital to another hospital, and he passed away there. Well, my stepmom pulled the plug, you feel me? So, my mom, me, and everybody, you know, we wrote my mom wrote up a letter, you know, to file to stop an emergency cremation, because when I contacted the hospital, the doctor told me he can't speak to me, that I'm on the block list. I got put on the block list so I couldn't speak to my dad's doctor. Well, my dad was my best friend. For people who don't know, my dad had cancer. I brought him to all his chemo and radiation. Same thing I do with my mom now. That's how I know about this cancer shit. It was from previous experience with my dad. You feel me? So, all of a sudden, his doctor that I was like this with told me he can't speak to me. You feel me? So, I'm like, why? He's like, oh, because your stepmom put you on the block list, you know, because he's married to her. She was able to control who can and cannot. And I'm like, damn, that's crazy. I live with them. I live with my stepmom and my dad at the time. So I called the hospital's morgue the next day. His body's gone. They didn't want to tell me where he was at. I went up to the hospital at 2 in the morning, causing a scene and shit, you feel me? And they gave me a card saying, we could tell there's some suspicious going on here with your dad's body, so don't tell them we told you, but here's a card to where your dad's at. I found my dad's body 1 county over in Palm Beach at a 24-hour emergency cremation place, okay? So it was all just suspicion. So a bunch of people that knew my dad and my mom from when they were together years ago, you know, and my sister and everybody, you know, they all felt suspicion. So we filed to stop an emergency cremation, you feel me? So we wanted an autopsy done on my dad, because it was a trauma situation, you feel me? His head was busted open, and by law, when it's a trauma situation, the medical examiner is supposed to do an autopsy off rip. But my stepmom had 5-6 different stories, so the hospital never did an autopsy, you feel me? So I had to file to stop an emergency cremation. And, you know, it was suspicion on my stepmom's part that she may have been involved in my dad's passing. So that's one letter that my name was on, you feel me? Trying to figure out what happened to my dad. It was like I suspicious my stepmom of doing this, you feel me? Okay, and then after, you know, he passed away or whatever and shit like that, the next day I got set up. Okay, I beat up her son, which was my victim. I was on probation for. I beat his ass for going through my dad's belongings. You feel me? And he don't live at the house. I live at the house with my stepmom. This is the day after my dad died. I'm beating his ass for going through my dad's belongings, right? And then, as I'm beating his ass, my ex-old lady at the time, I'm not with her now, but the one I was with at the time, she calls the police. So now I'm yelling at her about why you calling the police? You feel me? So then she's like, what you mean, baby? You live here. He don't. He's your victim. If I don't call the police first, it's going to look like they called him on you and you're going to jail. You feel me? So that's how it all went down like that. Then the police came. When the police came for this whole situation, they They told my stepbrother, leave. He went across the street to his grandma. She lived right across the street, which was my stepmom's mom. They asked if I wanted to leave for the night. I said, yeah, I'll leave for the night so there ain't no problems. And then when I left, they were called back on scene 50 minutes later by my stepmom, and who said there was a gun on my bed. You feel me? And I was on probation for stabbing her son at that house. Like, that's where my probation was. You feel me? So my PO signed off on the warrant because he knew that was my bedroom. And then the gun didn't have my prints on it. As soon as I got locked up, you feel me? I wanted to write it to where, like, I want to get fingerprinted done. I want to draw the fingerprint, me and fingerprint the gun, because it wasn't my gun. You feel me? They set me up to get me out the house. So the gun thing didn't stick. Now, while I was in jail, my stepmom and my stepbrother were testifying against me. They turned into the witnesses. It's on my paperwork. It's online. You can see it and all. And they were giving the state more things. Since that gun one didn't stick, they gave them more and more things. So they kept hitting me with different warrants while I was in custody. So I want to get back on the streets. You feel me? So while I was in there, they hit me with 5 more technical violations. You feel me? They hit me with 5 more of them. One of them was all right, let me say this real quick. People say you can't go to prison off of he say, she say. Yeah, you can, because my stepmom told them that I told my dad I tried ecstasy one time, and they hit me with a violation when I never had a dirty urine. I was on probation for 5 years. Never had dirty urine, and it was months ago. Like, she said, he told his dad he tried ecstasy 5 months ago, and they hit me with a violation. Like, bro, my dad ain't even alive now, and you're going off of what she's saying. I told my dad. My dad told her that I told my dad I shot up a hotel out in Key Largo. They hit me with a violation. They were trying to keep me in there. Okay? Now, what's up, everybody? We got 500 and something people in here, bro. You feel me? But anyways, so now that I'm in there and they're doing anything to get me in trouble, my mom, my real biological mother that I take care of now, that has cancer, you feel me? You feel me? I pray for her, you feel me? She wrote a letter to the judge, a 7-page letter, and in the letter, to make me sound good, she said I called the cops on them, you feel me? And then I posted it in my video that I just said, Motherly Love, where I posted the clip in there where she was like, I'm not going to tell a judge that they called the cops on you, you see? So my mom wrote a letter to make me look good to the judge by saying I called the cops on the same 2 people who put me in prison and who ended up being suspicious of my dad's death. You see what I'm saying? So that's all that happened. You feel me? So the paper looks like, his mom said, but at the end of the day, due to the statute of limitations, I can speak on it now because it's a 2nd-degree felony and the statute of limitations is 3 years. So yeah, my mom went on there and she said what she wanted to say, whether it was true or false. She can't get in trouble for it now, you feel me? She's gonna ride for her son. But me personally, I did not call. My ex-old lady called though. You feel me? So you know what I'm saying? But I just wanted to break that down, people trying to, it looks bad on paper, you feel me? But no one got arrested, You got to look at it. No one got arrested. There was no drugs involved in the case. My stepmom didn't get arrested. My stepbrother, the people who my mom said I called the cops on, didn't get arrested. Those were just the 2 people that were testifying on me. And now, when that letter was wrote to the judge on my behalf by my mom, a bad letter was wrote the same day, talking bad about me and talking bad about my mom. Like, they did all they can to get me out the way, and it was all to inherit my old boy's belongings, which was like his business, all of his vehicles, the house, and then my stepmom got a restraining order put on me, so I couldn't go to work release when I was in prison. She did the whole 9, all she could. She turned into my main, state witness. You feel me? And I've been with this lady since I was 9 years old. You feel me? But anyways, like I said, I've lived with this lady since I was 9 years old. And then I violated a couple times before this when my dad was alive. And my victim and his mom, both of them went to court and spoke on my behalf to get me reinstated. So I'd be back on probation. They spoke on my behalf. But the day after my dad died, they flipped on me. And it was really to cover up some shit about the suspicion of my dad. You feel me? And then to inherit everything. And then y'all believe this shit or not, look. When I was in prison, check this out. I'm going to throw something out there. When I was in prison, I got picked up by the gang sergeant. and I got put in confinement for Kfrog TV. And I ended up getting shipped from Charlotte for it after getting sentenced to 200-something days in the box. And while I was back there in the box, my real mom contacted the warden of the prison and said that she wants to see the email of whoever emailed, because they were saying someone emailed them from the streets, sending them pictures of me with knives and all this shit in there to have them come run down on me. So my mom wanted, due to clemency, and when you get DRs for it, you're allowed to, write, you want to see the proof they have against me. So when my mom contacted the gang sergeant forwarded her the email. He didn't just send it to her, he forwarded it to her. So it showed my mom where it came from. And it came straight from my stepmom's email. So even in prison, she was still trying to make it to where I can't get out of prison. You see what I'm saying? But I was just on 1090's live and shit, you feel me? That was a good video, you know what I'm saying? I seen a lot of people on there saying, oh, so Kfrog's mom snitched and this and that. Listen, my mom's an older lady, man. My mom, she got cancer right now and shit like that. She stuck up for her son against two people who were lying to get him out of the way that just played a part in something with his dad's death. My mom was married to my real dad for almost 20 years. See what I'm saying? So it's like, you can say what you want about my real mom, but any mother that loves their child would do the same thing. If they could write a letter to the judge and it would help their son's case, they would do it. You get what I'm saying? It didn't help, though. They looked dead over the letter and everything like that. That's why it blew my mind that people were going to snoop into, because I put some shit on blast. You feel me? Now all of a sudden they're going to try to, the one thing I wasn't thinking of, a letter my mom wrote the judge, she put in there, that's one line. I wasn't thinking of that. Now I'm going to speak on, this Pino shit. We gave him the opportunity to go ahead and put the shit, not even to just defend himself, just to throw it out there, let people know what time we want to speak on it. He hit his channel like he didn't, and forfeited it. He curled, you know what I'm saying? And when he curled by the shit, you feel me? We're like, okay, we're going to take it into our own hands then. And we dropped the video. Now he's trying to redeem himself by putting up this bullshit-ass line, and he done gave it to his favorite enemy, Milk, and try to make it look like that's really what it was, that my mom says I called the cops. All in reality, my ex-girlfriend did, but my mom said it while I was in jail to make it look good to the judge. You feel me? And when they got that letter, I had court in 2 days. When they got that letter, since they got the bad letter, they scratched me for 45 more days, so I didn't get to see the judge in 3.5 months. But these same people that my mom wrote that against were the same people that were wrongfully, setting her son up. So I don't even look at her for telling on that. I feel like she did what a mom would. You think she's just going to sit back and watch these people set her son up and send him to prison to get him out the way? Because they knew I was my dad's best friend. I was with my dad every day. I took care of my dad. You feel me? So that's just what it is on my behalf on the whole situation. You feel me? So it's public record. Anyone can go look at it or whatever. I don't care who believes it, who don't. My case is like a story. You know what I'm saying? I was even in the county jail and got mail, and it was my dad's mail.